Yeah, deal with where you're depan, up top, blessings. There, back again for another one. But this time we have another new debutant on the channel, and we have Manny. Manny, what you say to me? Hello? You still here? I think he might have some connection issues. Let me message him and see what he's saying. But yeah, as you guys can see in the title, he is from. It looks like he has disconnected a bit. Let's see if he's back. Um, he's from the JA dugout, so another guy showing us some energy from over that side. Definitely show some love to their channel as well, and do continue to like this video and subscribe to both channels. Help us get to our subscriber goals. You can see right here we're at 76, and take it step by step, get to 77, eventually get to 100 by the end of the year. That's the plan. And today we're actually supposed to talk about, like, basically get his predictions for this Premier League season. He did mention that he wanted you guys to know he believes Chelsea can challenge for the title, and we were supposed to dissect and go into his thoughts around that. But he's not here at the moment. Hoping he does join in. If not, then we'll just attempt the stream again at another time. But while we're here, I'll tell you guys my predictions for this upcoming Premier League season. So personally, I don't think it's a surprise, but I have Manchester City to win the league again and complete the four-peat. My personal goals for this channel is for us to get two trophies. Um, I'm not really so fussed about which two trophies we get. I'd be really happy if we got two trophies though. To be honest with you, I'm fine with winning just the league as well. We won a treble last season. I don't think there's any imperative need for us to go out and replicate something like that again this season, even though obviously that would be nice. But I think give me the league and maybe even a Carabao Cup, I would take that. Two trophies, and then we get back our Carabao Cup, beloved Carabao Cup, and we would match Liverpool in terms of overall Carabao Cups won. So you would be the joint leaders in most Carabao Cups. I'm not sure if this is Manny here returning. Manny, just let me know if you hear me. Yep, it seems like he's trying to sort out the connection issues. But like I was saying, I would take the Premier League and a Carabao Cup for Manchester City this season, or the FA Cup, of course. Um, I think even though we won a treble last season, Pep Guardiola isn't going to be here forever, and we need to win as much trophies as possible while he is the manager of Manchester City. And I do personally believe that majority of his debate for being the best manager in the world, I do hope that it comes from his time at Manchester City. So that's just pretty much my views ahead of the season in terms of challengers, closest challengers. I'm kind of split between Arsenal and Liverpool. Reason being, Liverpool has challenged us more times than Arsenal has, but Liverpool doesn't necessarily have the squad to challenge us right now. They did make a lot of additions, but they also lost a lot of players as well. And I don't think they particularly replaced Fabinho as yet. The only CDM they have at the team is Bajetic, which he's even injured right now. So I don't really know if that's strong enough to start the season. I know they're interested in Lavia and apparently also interested in Caicedo. But I do think they do need upgrading in that department before they can like fully launch a proper title challenge. I think Arsenal, with how they performed last season, they definitely would be more suited for a title challenge than a Liverpool. However, the issue Arsenal face is they've only done it once, and now they also have to balance Champions League football as well as the expectation of title challengers. Last season, they didn't really have the expectation of title challengers. They battled top four, and now you look at Arsenal. Last season you look at Arsenal and you see them go in the title race. It kind of was a bit unexpected, And no, this season I don't think they'll have that surprise factor anymore. Teams will be ready for Arsenal from the start of the season, with them having that expectation of, you know, being in a title challenge. They did it last year. They're stronger this year. But I do think that balancing that as well as sustaining a proper run in the Champions League to at least the quarterfinal stage will be a real toll on them, and it won't be something that we've seen from them before. So Arsenal fans, temper your expectations as it relates to this season. Although I'm very curious to see what type of energy they come with after they beat us in the Community Shield, and our game against them at the Emirates is in October, I believe, early October as well. So I'm curious to see what type of energy they come with. Manny, let me know if you're back now. Still not hearing you if you're speaking, but um, I noticed I saw you join and leave a fair few times. So let me know if you're still here, or leave me a comment in the chat if you're hearing me or not. You are hearing me, okay. Texan said he's hearing me, but we're not hearing you. So I'm really not sure about how that's going on. We might have to just reschedule this stream as it relates to getting your thoughts, but I'm still going to go ahead and give my thoughts on how I think the title race will go at least. But yeah, furthermore, as I would say on that, after that top three, because I do think the top three will be that in terms of the order of Liverpool and Arsenal. If I was to make a prediction as of right now, how the squads are on August 10th, I would say Arsenal to finish second and Liverpool to finish third. Obviously, by the time the window closes, both teams might be looking a lot different. So who knows? But as it relates to fourth and fifth place, I think teams that will finish there are Man United and Chelsea. And I think that the order of that will be Man United fourth and Chelsea fifth. And that might be wrong, but I rate Ten Hag. You know, obviously he's a student of Pep. He had a really good teacher to learn under. But from what I've seen from him at Ajax, you know, he won a few Eredivisie. He made Champions League runs as well. He's worked with a lot of good players as well, developed them. And now he's at Manchester United. Majority of the decisions he's made so far seem to have paid off. I know Mason Mount is a bit questionable, but again, majority of his decisions have paid off. Letting go of Ronaldo, getting in Casemiro. Anthony one is a bit hit or miss. He's revived Rashford from his previous season. Before last season, he was terrible. You know, last season, I heard rumors of Rashford going out on loan to Everton. And then last season, he's their top scorer in the Premier League. So some props have to be given to Ten Hag, Eric Ten Hag, where that is concerned. They've gotten Onana now, improvement on David De Gea, although he has his qualms of his own. But again, for the most part, they are an improved team from last season, and I do think that they'll continue to show their strength. Their away record against the top nine or top 10 in the league last season was abysmal. So that at least I'm expecting to see improve. And last season they had Old Trafford as a fortress. So um, let's see what they do this season. Um, Chelsea, on the other hand, I do think at the start of their process, for me personally, I like to keep the same energy, right? I'm looking at Chelsea and I'm seeing um, a manager coming in with a good style of football. He can organize them and give them a style of play. However, if you actually look at this current Chelsea team, a new manager coming in, he's not. I guess you could say he's starting a new project. And for me, if a manager is coming into a club to start a new project, I'm giving him generally 3 years to really fully implement his style of play on the club and to actually, give the like stamp his authority on the team, more or less. Right. So maybe that first year could be getting in the players that you want to play your style, identifying the players in the squad that you took over that you want to keep maybe and finish somewhere respectfully, probably make a cup run and establish yourself in either Champions League or the at least the Europa League, right? And that is for any team in the Big Six building a rebuild, right? Like starting over from scratch, building a rebuild, which it seems what Chelsea is doing right now. Oh, he said it's his phone is the issue. Well, I'm not sure if he can get that sorted out. today. If not, then don't worry about it too much. We can always reschedule and chop up the stream another time. Definitely not tomorrow because match day tomorrow and throughout the weekend. But we should be able to find some time to get your thoughts before the transfer window closes at least. But yeah, back to Chelsea. Why I put Chelsea fifth, and fifth is a Champions League spot, by the way, in case anybody has forgotten about that. But coming into the second season of a manager in a rebuild or a project per se, I would say no. You might want to challenge for the league. You should be putting on a stronger cup run than previous years. You should have your style of play evident, even if you don't have all of the players that you do need to launch a full on title charge in either the league or the Champions League. And if you're in a competition like the Europa League, you should be aiming to winning that type. You should be aiming to win that type of competition. And if you are in the Premier League, um, only, I mean, in the Champions League, I mean, not Premier League. If you're in the Champions League, you should be aiming to get to the latter stage of the Champions League as well in your second year. All right, at least semi-final, quarter-final might be a stretch, but that's what I'm expecting from a manager in their second year. A lot more serious from the first year. You have to see clear improvement for the project to keep going. And in the third year, you have to have everything in place to challenge and go on. Now, things might be a bit different for Pochettino because he's getting a lot of financial backing. I remember when it was Pep Guardiola coming into the team and he was into Manchester City and he was completely changing the ethos of the club in terms of style of play and the players that we recruit. um, there wasn't a lot of patience from rival fans and the media. There's a lot of money being spent. He has to deliver trophies immediately. He finished third in the Champions League position with 78 points in his first season. If you look at it in isolation, it's respectable. But when you talk about the money that he spent and when you talk about the level or quality of manager that he is, everyone is saying that first year was a failure. And in the second year, he got 100 points and won the Premier League with an unforeseen points tally. So before seeing points tally. So what I'm expecting from Pochettino now is in your second year, with the amount of money you'll be able to spend, with your quality as a manager, you have experience in the league as well. You're at a big club in Chelsea who usually wins a lot of trophies. I'm expecting in the second year you to have to deliver something. And even this year, Pochettino has to be launching at least one of the cups, like a deep run in one of the cups, latter stages, semi-finals at least, preferably even finals, to be honest with you, because they're not in any European competition. So they have to be hitting one of the finals in the cup competitions. And yeah, I think even in the second year, you should be in and amongst that title race as well. Finish fifth this season, get yourself into the Champions League for next season, and then launch a title race in the next year. Not maybe not so much pressure to go on and win the title race, but you have to show some intent in being at a club like Chelsea. So and then in your third year for sure, you should be deep in that title race, or that project is a failure. That's my belief, and I would apply that to any other club. It's not just Chelsea. I don't want to pick on just Chelsea, but um, this is the guest that we were supposed to have. By the way, he had connection issues, so unfortunately, we might have to reschedule a stream with him. And he's saying with the basis that we got Caicedo, I feel we can challenge. That's another thing I wanted to speak on with Chelsea. The squad, it begs questions. It begs a bit of questions. I hear that they're looking to ship out Kepa and they're bringing in Robert Sanchez. I do like Robert Sanchez as a goalkeeper personally. I do think he is good enough on the ball, one of the better keepers in the Premier League on the ball. I think his shot stopping is a bit questionable. I see people give Ederson a lot of grief for his shot stopping. And personally, last season, I think he was better than Robert Sanchez and than Raya last season in terms of shot stopping. Ederson, that is. And for these two keepers, what I noticed with them is that they don't handle the ball very well. So they'll face a shot and you'll see majority of the shots get parried, or if they're coming out on a corner for a high claim, they'll usually punch the ball away, but you won't see them catch the ball very often. So I do worry about their handling, especially that getting exposed at a bigger club like a Chelsea. And I don't think Chelsea will have a lot of pressure on them in this first year to go on and win anything major. So maybe this first year can be a good one for him to improve under Pochettino while he's there. But that's one position. And they need to get a backup goalkeeper as well if Kepa is going to leave. So that there's questions there again. Reece James is injured right now, which is one of their, I think he's their captain as a matter of fact, and clearly one of their better players when fit and playing at his best. So him being injured for a number of weeks at the start of the season doesn't spell good for Chelsea. He's also had a lot of injury issues in previous seasons as well. So if you're looking at that or all those things combined, it's tough to really look at Chelsea like with their, you think of a club like Chelsea, you think of thinking of their strongest 11, playing majority of the games, right? But if he's picking up injuries frequently throughout the season, then how is he really meant to help that strongest 11 on the pitch? Same thing with Ben Chilwell. I hear he's injured right now as well. Amani also saying that Reece James is not injured actually, which regardless, he might end up injured early out in the season or something. I think the previous 2 or 3 seasons that he's been at Chelsea, he's been picking up injuries. So I'm expecting him to pick up another injury here. But a player like Malo Gusto, I haven't seen him yet, but I hear that he's been playing well. So even if Reece James is out, he might be the one slotting in. I haven't really seen too much of him, like I said, so I can't really speak on him from my expertise point of view. But he's a new player to the Premier League. I'm not sure that he's going to just start and immediately land on the ground running and play a majority of games at a high level. He might have some peaks and some low moments as well, but we just have to see how he adapts to the Premier League. In their centre back depth, Thiago Silva, I think, will feature a lot less. He's probably like 39 this year. So he'll be a lot of experience, but I don't think he'll play a majority of the games. Fofana is injured right now as well. From what I heard, he'll be injured at the beginning of the season. You have Trevor Chalobah, who it seems he's not really being favored as much, or maybe his improvement is not coming along as much as Chelsea fans would have liked. But if you look at a player like Badia Shield, he's a really good one. I saw a bit of him in the end of last season. Seems like the manager likes him as well, and it seems like he fits the style of play that the manager wants. He's good on the ball and he's good defensively. And I do believe they also brought in his defensive counterpart from Monaco as well. So centre back wise, I do think they'll be okay in that area, at least until Fofana comes back, since they're only in 3 competitions. And I look at their left back situation. It's Cucurella who had a poor season last season. Maybe it was a one-off. Maybe under a manager like Pochettino, who's a bit more organized than a Graham Potter would have been at Chelsea at the start of last season. Maybe he does fare better in that left back position while Chilwell is out. Oh, and Levi Colwill, yes, yes. Levi Colwill as well. Really good player. Played really well for Brighton last season. So I do think he'll be one to watch for Chelsea as well. Very, very good player. But yeah, even in their midfield area, I do think they're still a bit light. That's why they're looking at Caicedo and Lavia. I do think one of them is good enough for them. But if they get two, that's still really good depth. And if Pochettino rotates it well, I do think it'll be what they need to really establish themselves in a Champions League spot this season. But the chemistry and longevity over the length of the season remains to be seen. So this is all just speculatory. Then I want to look at their forward line. Raheem Sterling has to do much better than what he did last season. Um, on the other side, they have Madueke. He was okay last season. I do think he should be looking at improving his performances as well. I think his goal scoring is abysmal, but on the ball, he's really good dribbling. So I do rate him. I've rated him before he went to Chelsea as well. Obviously, Nkunku is out, like we mentioned before. And Mudrik, $100 million man. Me not forget about Mudrik, Let me tell you this right now, Imani. Mudrik better land 10 goals in the league, in the Premier League this season. Yeah, because I remember telling this man about Havertz that he's not as good as he was in Leverkusen. That Champions League game is a smoke screen. He played well, yes, but that doesn't mean he's a successful signing. I told them he was a flop after year one, and that was provisional. I would call this whole time at Chelsea a flop after 1 year, but it was at that point in time he was a flop transfer who still needed to retribute in the next season. Then in the next season, again flop, and then the third season again flop. So who was proven right here? That's all may I say. Now we look at Mudrik now. He's pretty much the same. I like Mudrik as a player. Still, he's another one whose goal scoring is obviously so abysmal. He has to do much better. I saw a goal that he scored and linked up with Nico Jackson, and it was good. I do like what I'm seeing from him so far, and he better make that translate into the season. It can't just be yeah preseason bad man, and then when the league start, like you don't know where you are, they are running in a circles. You're like what's a player from Manu who is just fast, and that was just pretty much Dan James. Like if you're just a Dan James for 100 mil, I am going to talk about it. I am going to talk so loud about it. And obviously, Nico Jackson up top seemed like a good player as well. Not so sure about the experience from him because he is still relatively young. I think he's like 19 or 20, from what I'm led to believe. But he seems a good player, seems confident, and he's very skillful and versatile in terms of what he's able to do and bring to his game. So I do think he'll lead the line at Chelsea relatively well. So I'm looking at him as well, Chelsea fans are apparently looking at him as their number one striker because they don't want Lukaku back. But I'm looking at him as one to add to their forward line for sure. And let's see if he can link up with Sterling and help to unlock him. Aman in the chat is also saying Malo Gusto is a good signing. It's almost shameful that he's back up. I've heard so many good things about Malo Gusto, honestly. So I don't want to talk down on him, but like I said, I personally haven't seen him. So I don't want to give him props based off of someone else's evaluation of him. I like to give my honest opinions, especially on my personal channel, because all of my viewers want to be real, don't know. This is when me genuinely think I may try to be as objective as possible and unbiased as possible. So yeah, I haven't really seen anything from Malo Gusto. I don't want to really like dog on him, and I don't really want to hype him up too much because at the end of the day, my opinions may I give people go come back and say, oh, you said this border player here. So I'm going to keep my opinions on him until after I've seen him and made an assessment. Then I'll come back and let you guys know what I think about Malo Gusto. But I'll take your word for it because it also is in alignment with what a lot of people are saying. He's a really good right back. I've also heard someone say that if Reece James doesn't pattern up and fixes or overcome his injury issues and nail down his spot in the team, Malo Gusto just might take it from him. So there has to be high praise because Reece James is a player that I rate highly ability wise. So I definitely want to watch in the upcoming season. And I'll keep him in mind when we do play Chelsea as well. I feel like even if Reece James is fit, Malo Gusto might get introduced into the team as well. Maybe as like a sub or something different from Reece James, but I do think he might be a difficult player. I definitely want to watch and look at. Um, Amani also says currently have three left back. One of them is a utility player, Marston. I think I heard that name as well. Is he a young youth from the academy? I definitely heard that name, but again, I've never seen him play. I think looking at one of your preseason lineups was the only or the first time I've seen that guy's name. So let me know if he's a youngster from the academy because that would definitely make a lot of sense. So I never heard of him. Um, Midfield is currently Gallagher, Adams, Carney, Santos, and hopefully Caicedo and Leslie. Leslie, I've never heard about. Santos, I've seen a lot of good from him as well. From the small sample size of clips I've seen, he looks good. And what I'm hearing, word on the ground, is that he is also playing really well. But again, I'll see him and I'll see how many games he gets to play. I already had a feeling that he wouldn't be getting loaned out. I heard a lot of rumors about that when Chelsea was signing him, that he might be leaving. But it seems Poch really likes this player. And it seems like he can play like a 8 or potentially even a double pivot, it seems. So let's see what he's coming with this season. Kaini Chukwemeka, I really like that player as well. I think after that kid gets some experience, trust me, man, that man is going to be a terrible, terrible baller. He kind of reminds me of Rico Lewis in terms of the aggression that he plays with. He's not a player that really shies down in pretty much anything that he's doing on the pitch. So I do like players like that. But if he's not going to play at Chelsea, I think the best move for him is to loan him out and let him get some experience. But if not, and he is going to play, then he's definitely one to watch for the future. Definitely for the future. And I think he can contribute something now as well. Adams, good player. he has his own injury issues. Got relegated last season as well. So I do think you need. I don't think him alone can be the defensive midfielder that Chelsea's bringing in. Yes, he's confirmed. Here we go by Fabrizio, but you need Caicedo to partner him. Him alone cannot hold on what Kante was doing previously. I don't think he's that good. So good talent, but you definitely need more than that. And obviously Gallagher and Enzo. I forgot to mention these players as well. Gallagher, um, I don't know. I don't see how much Pochettino is going to use him. I don't know if he fits Pochettino's style of play. Crystal Palace didn't really play a possession-based style when he was there in Flourishing. It was more counter-attacking and industrial. So it's very difficult to see where Gallagher is going to fit into Pochettino's plans. But maybe just a different option off the bench, or he'll have a tailor-made role for him somewhere. But I'll have to see a couple of Chelsea games and see what's the plan for him. And Enzo Fernandez, the next $100 million man, highest transfer value in Premier League history. When it was Jack Grealish, I heard about that every single time. So Enzo, you must come out with some numbers. 15 GA from you. You are the most expensive player to get brought into the Premier League. At least 15 GA as a midfielder. Me need from you. Jack Grealish, because people are going to say, I need to keep the same energy upon my club. My expectation for Jack Grealish, we need 20 GA from him because he's a forward. You need 10 goals and you need 10 assists. I mean, I'm talking at the league, not all comps in the league. Give me like 15, 15, 30 GA. That's my expectation for Jack Grealish in our competitions. But in the league, we need 10 and 10. Definitely. And there's no running away from that Jack Grealish. So Enzo, just remember, I'm tell you, 15 GA central midfielder. You must um stamp from Imani again and Mudrik saying he believes that he'll cook this season. Hey, and you may come talk about, hey, you better make sure your connection are working here and flapping, because you need to forward and explain Mudrik on the channel. So when running, make sure you start out your system by December time. When time the season I look about Boxing Day at the halfway point in the season. If Mudrik not impress me by then, you need to answer for your crimes. Um, Says his expectation for Mudrik is 15 GNA in the league this season. I guess I would accept that. If it might be him do like 8 and 7, yeah. I would take that. I'll take that from him. I don't think he needs to hit a certain number of goals. I don't think 5 goals is enough for the season from Mudrik, even if him do get 10 assists. But 15 GA is definitely not bad. Based on what I see in the preseason, there's a shift in the team, and I'm optimistic. Let me know what type of shift you mean. Like what things you're looking at that you're liking in terms of the differences. I know I named a few at the beginning of the stream, but let me know your thoughts in regards to that. And there you go. Malagusto, want to watch. Definitely getting a lot of noise, and this is going to be a little bit of pressure for him, and he might already have pressure on him going into the season if Reece James is not going to play to start. But you also said that Reece James is not injured, so let's see how that right back battle goes. And I'm guessing this is that Marston kid, young player from our academy that was playing for company last season. He's a left back, but he can play wings and cam. Interesting. And I also heard a lot of talk about what was it, Chelsea Academy being the best in the league. I also heard that about Arsenal Academy being the best in the league. But no, look how the script flipped, because Lavia is getting $50 million price tags on his head after one season. And certain clubs, i.e. Chelsea, are looking at buying a player like Romeo Lavia. We've made a lot of sales from youth academy players between the 3 seasons ago and now. Even this season, Carlos Borges, who just went to Ajax, I do feel like he will shock the world this season. Like, he is going to announce himself in the Champions League, and people are going to see him and respect him as a footballer. Absolutely amazing baller. And the only reason why he couldn't make it in this current team is because we don't play that style anymore. I think if we played with fast wingers, kind of like the style of a Sterling or a Mudryk, that man would have definitely warranted himself some minutes. I think he probably would have pushed Cole Palmer out the way in terms of making it into the team. But the style of play that we have now fits Cole Palmer a lot more than it fits a Carlos Borges. But that's just a bit of an example. But I'm looking to see what that Marston kid comes about with, because Chelsea talents from their academy are I always want to keep an eye on. Because you also have produced some good players. Um, I feel Gallagher's role will be a cardio man on the field. Potentially, you don't have Mason Mount anymore, so somebody have to do it. Um, hope I wonder if that's the role that he'll basically be filling, because Mason Mount was shoved all over the pitch to fill in for other positions. Him there play left mid at one point or left wing, end up on the right side at one point, and play eight, and play a double pivot. We see him play a false nine. Like, they just move Mason Mount all over the place to fill in any gaps we don't have. That might be what happened with Gallagher. I think Graham Potter did do a bit of that with him as well last season. So let's see what Gallagher can bring for himself. I really thought he was going to move this season. I think there was a 40 million pound bid for him, and Chelsea decided to keep him. So maybe there is some plan to use him this season. And you're laughing at the fact that I said 15 GA as a midfielder. No, for real. Like, if I say 15 GA for Kevin De Bruyne, that's not a mad statement. People are going to look at that and say, 15? Bro, he's getting that in assists alone. Last season, the season before the one that just ended, he got 15 goals, as a matter of fact. 15 goals and 7 assists. So, or was that season that just ended? That might have been the season that just ended and the one before. Yeah, I think the one before he had the assist record. So close to the assist record. I mean, like the playmaker award is what I meant to say. So 15J as a midfielder for someone who boasts the title of the most expensive midfielder in Premier League history. I don't think that's too much to ask. I think he should be hitting those types of numbers. I think it should be a requirement of him as well, as a matter of fact. And pretty much for any other team that has a player of that level, I'd say the same for Erdegaard at Arsenal. He should be hitting those numbers. 15 GA, that's supposed to be baby numbers for Erdegaard, as a matter of fact. So, all right, that should be a number he might hit from like March. You know me, I say, like, for the level that these teams are going to be competing at. And for you who think your team should be in a title race, you shouldn't be shocked. I think maybe Nkunku should be the player that hits the 15 if he's going to be playing majority of his time in the midfield. But yo, like 12 to 15 is the most me'll drop it at for Enzo because of his price tag. Because I mean, like how as soon as it's not Manchester City, the price tag not really that important anymore. But when it's Manchester City, it's like, look how much money you spend, look on your transfer budget, look on the signings of Pep make. When you spend $100 million on him, well, when you spend 120 on Enzo. So let's see what he will contribute to Chelsea this season. And go up a little bit. See, the mentality in the team shift and the style of play improves a lot. The team isn't coward anymore. That might be true, but the team is also a bit inexperienced. Talent alone, I don't think can launch a title challenge. I think you probably saw that last season with Arsenal, and I do feel like if this Chelsea team is not steady enough in terms of leadership within the team, he might be subject to that as well. As majority of the players on the pitch would be, they might have had overcome their own personal adversaries or issues coming up in their career, like instances where they have to step up and lead. But I don't think they'll have that much experience like you'll need to go through a title winning campaign. Like, who in your squad would have like had, I think probably only Thiago Silva and Raheem Sterling would have been in your squad right now. Correct me if I'm wrong. Who would have won a league title amongst all your current players? So, in the major leagues, of course. So, yeah, that's definitely something to think about there in terms of the experience in your team. Um, they want to win leagues and cups. It's not likely to win the league as it is, but who knows? Something can happen. Look at Arsenal last season. Personally, Arsenal was a team that shocked me in terms of what I expected from them. But going into the season, I was not expecting them to win the league, and I'm sure you would agree with that. And for me, throughout the season, I was saying like, bro, I'm not worried about Arsenal. I didn't really get super worried about Arsenal until it was like when the charges hit. That was my lowest point as a City fan last season, where it's like, we are trying to get everything to click to really catch them, and then this happens, so things just kind of fall off. And I don't know if we can quickly shove this behind we and do what we need to do in terms of winning games and amassing points to actually catch up to Arsenal, surpass them, and then go on to maintain that and win the league. I haven't seen us under Pep lose a title race before, and I was very, very worried that last season would have been the time that happened. But it wasn't until that February point where the charges came out. As it relates to Chelsea, I feel like because Arsenal, what they did was amazing, and it definitely was commendable for them. I think they had a great season last season from their expectations, but they did eventually fall off, and it was just a matter of time. I think a lot of people would have thought that at the start of the season when you saw that Arsenal were winning so many games at the beginning of the season, but you do know that it's going to catch up to them eventually. They're going to hit a wall, and there is going to be a fall off. At the beginning of the season, I'm pretty sure Arsenal fans would have been saying more or less they have the size of squad that they need to do what they need to do. They're in the league, they're in the Europa League, looking at winning one of those competitions, more than likely the Europa League, and then make yourself proud in the league. And they went on to overstate that. And that was when they realized that they didn't have the squad to go on and overachieve much past what they were originally expected to do. So the fact that they did it for as long as they did, I think was really commendable. But I never expected them to keep that for the whole entire season. Honestly, no. And I think it's pretty much the same for Chelsea. Um, Maybe behind the scenes, Pochettino is planning to launch a title challenge and just fully high focus on the league. But I don't think that's the case. I think he'll try to get at least one cup under his belt first, motivate the players and let them know that they can go on to win a lot more than just a cup. And then possibly next season, go on and get that um, Premier League title challenge in there. But I do understand what you mean. Anything can happen. I'm not a psychic, so I can't say Chelsea are definitely not going to. But I really don't see it happening. But KDB isn't the same type of player as Enzo, but I want him to score and assist a lot. All right, let me not use KDB then, because Gundogan is a player who I would also expect to give me 15 GA, and Gundogan is a lot similar to Enzo Fernandez than Enzo Fernandez is to Kevin De Bruyne. Both players, I would put an expectation on them as a title winning or at least title challenging team in Manchester City to go on and make me proud as a Manchester City fan and hit our expectation, which is win the league and another competition. So I'm looking at those two players and I'm saying KDB, you have to give me 15 GA at least. Gundogan, you have to get to 15 GA as well. I would say if you're putting your team in that position, you have to be saying unless you're saying the forwards are going to take up a majority of those numbers, like how you would look at Liverpool in previous years. Salah is sitting close to 30 GA in the league, and Mane is sitting 20 plus GA in the league as well. So unless you're going to be having numbers like that, I think your midfielders do need to be creating and getting majority of those assist numbers. That's also fitting more of the style of Pochettino plays versus the style of Klopp plays. Yeah, those attacking eights should be getting those types of numbers in my opinion. A little bit more assist than goals for Enzo. I do expect that as well, but for him, like I'll take 5 goals, 10 assists, and say, you know what, you had a good season. But if you can't do that, as 120 million, I think it was 120 million euros. Probably, I'm not sure if that's 105 million pounds. I don't like to give prices in euros just because it seems higher, but I don't have the full value in pounds. I do think it's 105 million though. If a club is paying that much for you and is in a title race, you have to be giving 15 GA. Do not think that's too much to ask. Um, Enzo won the league title with Benfica, yes, but that's different from winning the Premier League. I think in the statistics right now, Benfica is the sixth biggest league in the top flight. So it's a big difference from sixth to first, and saying you have league winning experience, but it definitely counts for something, and he'll have to make that show in the season as one of the leaders of the team. He's also won the World Cup, so you're looking at both of those trophies. A lot of the younger players are looking at him and saying, you're fairly young yourself, but you've been there and done that, so you do have a bit more experience to share with us, and help get the team as a whole over the line. That's why I want Caicedo and Enzo, because that midfield allows Enzo to bring out his creativity more, because that's why we buy him. Have been using him as a six, and it makes no sense. Yeah, I think Enzo's ability is stifled as a six. I think a more defensive player like Caicedo or Lavia, like you said, would be better. Although I don't think Lavia. I think Lavia might do better at Chelsea because of the style that you guys play more than Liverpool. So if he goes there, he could get away as being your only player. You also have Tyler Adams, so you might be able to get over the line with that, or launch something of a title challenge, or let me say hit 80 points. Because for me, title challenge meaning you have to hit close to 90 points, like very close to 90 points, 88 or 87 and up, if you really want to win the league in this time day and age. So I'm looking at that. I'm saying I don't think this Chelsea team has that in them. I don't think they're good enough to really amass that many points. And yeah, I don't think you're ready as yet. I think you do need a lot more strengthening in your team. But again, I could be wrong. So I'm going to leave that to time and reassess that later on in the season, probably around Christmas time, and see where that is going on. But yeah, that does allow Enzo to focus more on his better attributes, which are on the ball or ball carrying and creating. So I'm expecting that to be the main focus. Probably the only signing you need to make right now is a defensive midfielder. And it's funny because Chelsea fans have been telling me that for years, that you need a defensive midfielder, and it still hasn't happened yet. So very interesting to see what goes on with that. If you guys chase Caicedo for the whole summer and don't get him, Lord have mercy upon your soul. Remember me tell you, brother. That'll be like Manu chasing the young all over again. Nkunku injury kind of dampened the mood, but I'm still confident we can do a madness because most rifles expect us not to finish outside of sixth. Yeah, from what I'm hearing, Nkunku is out for 3 months. If he was supposed to be a main creator, I don't think he should be able to get over the line with certain games. I haven't seen much of your fixtures, and you did mention in your next message that the first 8 to 10 games will be crucial. All I know is that your first match is Liverpool, and that's not a good start, in my opinion. I do think, especially if Liverpool get Caicedo or a similar player, better hope them don't get. Lavia or a similar player. You better hope them don't get Caicedo, is what I was going to say. But if them end up get a player like Lavia or on the level of Lavia, then I still think them have enough to beat your first game. Personally, that's just my opinion. I might be wrong, but that's what I'm expecting to see in terms of my prediction for that particular game. But if you guys end up getting Caicedo, I do think that kind of sways the boat a little bit. And who knows? You guys might be able to come out with a draw or actually beat them. I'm not sure if it's home or away. You can let me know in the chat as well if you're still here. But um, I'm wondering. I'm wondering what you guys can do against Liverpool when that game does come around. Nkunku, I like him as well. As I already said, he's very versatile, and I do think he'll be able to help you guys creatively, massively, a lot more than what Havertz was supposed to do. And from preseason, he has been pulling his weight. It's just a bit sad, like you said, to see him out already. I don't like to see good players getting injured personally. I don't want to win that way. I want to see players going out there and giving them best, so I can actively tell you that your player was a flop, like with Havertz. He was actively going out there and giving it his best and not working out. But Nkunku, hopefully he does come back sooner than expected, and you guys can have a full squad run and see how far you guys can go. Unbiasedly, that's my opinion. It's the bottom teams mostly. Okay, I'm guessing that's for the fixtures that you have. Well, if you can launch a good start, then maybe that does spell good for the rest of your season. But yeah, you guys need to actually win those games, because all of those bottom teams are come up with something to prove. In our first 3 games, we have Burnley first and Sheffield United third. And that's kind of worrying because they're going to come up with that, bounce back. Definitely Burnley more than Sheffield, but they're going to come back with that bounce back to where it's like, we want to prove that we are a Premier League level team, and they want to play out their best and prove themselves, especially after we beat them 6-0 last season. So it's not going to be an easy match against some of these newly promoted teams, especially Burnley being a team that plays nice progressive football. If they're playing against a team like Pochettino, I'm not sure if Burnley is one of your first 10 games, but if you're playing against a team like them, they are going to want to prove themselves as the better version of that, or at least on your level. So for a game that you need to win, you might be coming out of that with a draw or like a cheeky loss or something, or a really, really tougher game than you expected at least. Jackson improves the front three a lot because his all-round game is very good and Pat can mold him into a killer. Definitely. I definitely see that happening. I just don't think he's that finished product yet. So it remains to be seen if he can unlock that level of potential. I've seen a lot of players like him before who have that potential to go on and do better, and they just never really get there. So you better hope that he doesn't hit a ceiling or just fails to reach that potential, and he just ends up being one of those players that we used to talk about, and streets won't forget Nico Jackson when he was just at Chelsea type of thing. Like you don't want something like that to happen. It's home and it's perfect time to play them. They don't have a backline, to be honest. Um, Again, I think it will be a very interesting game to see. Van Dijk and Konate is a good partnership. For at least a first game, I do think that they won't look as weak as a lot of people think. I think how their squad is now, I think it's more visible throughout the season that you realize that they need more. Or at points in the season, you realize certain things happening, their midfield getting bypassed. Maybe when they play a team like Brighton, who is also very, very good on the ball, you realize that they need a CDM in there or depth in centre back when time Van Dijk and Konate are get tired or are carrying niggles or stuff like that. But in terms of the first game for the season, I don't think you'll see a lot of those issues prevalent in that first game unless they're just really unlucky. But I think they should be able to still handle a first game Chelsea as well. It won't be like your preseason games, I can tell you that. It will not be like your preseason games, and I don't think it'll be like their preseason games either. I think it'll be a high scoring game because, like you said, their defense is a bit suspect right now, especially linking up with Allison. He can be suspect at times. And their midfield, I think, is very good offensively. Defensively, still needs work. But I do think their offensive side of play can definitely hurt Chelsea. So I'm still not just giving Chelsea that win, basically. That's what I'm trying to say. Um, or a midfield, barring they don't get Caicedo. Yeah, like I said, their midfield is a bit weak, but they are pursuing another player in that position. I think eventually them cough up the money and realize that Southampton is not playing around with their price tag, or they at least match your bid and hope that Lavia chooses Liverpool over Chelsea. My brain all over the place, my bad people. But yeah, I think they at least start the season with Romeo Lavia, and I think that's maybe at least until January, good enough to maintain them, at least for the start of the season. You have Liverpool, West Ham, Luton, Forest, Bournemouth, Aston Villa, Fulham, Burnley, Arsenal, and Brentford as the first 10 games. So Liverpool, Aston Villa, Fulham, Burnley, Arsenal, Brentford. Those 6 games I'm looking at and I'm saying this can be a hiccup. What are you going to do? I expect it to be West Ham because I do think losing a player like Declan Rice won't be easy at the start of the season. They definitely will need to adjust with losing a player who was literally that crucial to their team. Luton Town, I don't think that they have the strongest squad either. Obviously, a lot of people are predicting them to go down in terms of them not having the resources, but they'll be coming in with a fight. Remember in previous years when teams like Sheffield would have or Norwich would have just gotten promoted, their first couple of games they are rough. Like they are playing out of their skin because they still have that promotion feeling, like the promotion bounce, I like to call it. So you have to look out for that with Luton. And you remember last season, Leeds dropped 3-0 upon Chelsea. And that was a whole story like, oh my God, how did this happen? And it was just like one of those one off results because Leeds then went on to get relegated. Something like that can happen with Luton. I genuinely see Luton winning a match where it's like, oh my God, how did they pull this off? Just don't let that be you. It might be Spurs because it's typically Spurs, but do not let that be you, bro. Um, as it relates to your games against Forest, Bournemouth, um, yeah, those other games I expect you to win those, but those other 6 games, I'm looking at those and saying you have to be careful with those teams. Um, that's good, barring Arsenal and Liverpool. Villa is a dark horse, to be honest. I'm looking at Villa as a team that will be playing Europa League football next season. 100% will be playing Europa League football next season. I think Emery is a really good manager. I think he's going to take that Conference League trophy very seriously, and I think he's going to go on and win it, actually. And he's going to be getting his team into the Europa League. In regards to their league run, I like what he's doing there as well. They have been amassing really good results from his time at the club, and I'm looking forward to watching a team like Aston Villa. Is basically what I'm trying to say. Even their signings are looking really good. Um, that CDM that they got last season. I don't remember his name right now. They got him over from France. He had a good season, and he's a good player as well. I've seen him play a couple of times. Moussa Diaby as well, good player. Leon Bailey might have to play less games, so he might have more times where he's fit and can come into the team. So exciting stuff from Villa to come. And I actually have a Manchester City legendary fan in the chat. Like, big up to Big Steve. I watch so much of your content. I'm really a big fan of your work, and hopefully I can have you on the channel sometime in the future as well. I'd love to have a conversation with you about our beautiful club one day, and hopefully you can give me that time of your day. But definitely good evening, and thank you for passing through. And Iman is showing some love as well for the legend Big Steve. Keep going, my brother. Let's do it. 100%, man. 100%. I want to reach out to you soon, but I know that you're a busy guy. I see you doing a lot of work with the club as well, which, that's any fan's dream. So keep living our dream. And hopefully, when, in the off season, maybe in one of the international breaks, we can actually set something up. That would really mean a lot to me. If we can beat Liverpool, it would be a morale boost for the team to beat the rest, seeing that we have been in stalemate for years. I do think it would be a big statement for Chelsea to start off the patch era in the Premier League with a win over Liverpool. Like, I'm looking at that and I'm saying, like, all right, yeah, you're showing me that you're serious. The rest, like, majority of those games, that 6 particular ones I pointed out in your first 10, you should be going on to win them then if you have the strength to beat this version of a Liverpool team, which I think will be fairly strong. And I'm looking at not fifth. I'm looking at not fifth if you can keep up. Say you win 8 out of those 10 games, I don't think you should be aiming to finish fifth, like the lowest Champions League spot. I know there's not much difference between finishing second and finishing fifth in terms of what you're awarded at the end of the season. But there is bragging rights in there, like, the amount of points you're able to gain. It does tell a story about what your season was like. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. From your perspective, you should fully be looking at beating Liverpool. But from a neutral perspective, I'm looking at both teams and I'm saying I don't think there's really much in it. And if I was to place a bet, I would probably say Liverpool just because of the previous year's versions of Liverpool. Looking at last season as like a one-off blip and looking at them coming back stronger to more like the years before that one. And yeah, that's pretty much my quick preview of the season. Obviously, everyone knows that the league season starts tomorrow for Manchester City. We will be facing Burnley, and it will be the only game for the day. Chelsea will have their game on Sunday, if I remember correctly. I might be wrong, but I think their game is on Sunday. So football fans will have to wait a bit longer if they're not a Manchester City fan or a Burnley fan for football to be back for them. But for us, me and man like legendary Big Steve in the chat, we get to watch some proper football tomorrow, and I absolutely cannot wait. I want to see what Pep is cooking. And you guys, if you want to know my thoughts on what that Manchester City versus Burnley game is going to look like, I already recorded my preview yesterday, so definitely go check that out before the game tomorrow. Leave your thoughts in the comments about what you think will happen, and leave your thoughts under the comments of this video and let me know what your top 5 is for this season and who do you think will win the league and pose the closest challenge to the league winners. I really do hope Manchester City is somewhere in and amongst that conversation, and I do think majority of you guys will say us, but let me know your top 5, who's winning the Champions League. And under my top 5, I'll give you guys my next two. I think Spurs will be sixth, and I would say Villa to edge Brighton. I'm gonna say Villa to edge Brighton for that next spot, or Villa and Brighton to finish below in seventh and eighth in another particular order. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have for today. Unfortunately, Manny was not able to have this conversation with me today, and that's perfectly fine. We hope to get him on the channel to make his debut sooner or later. But until next time, my side, stay safe. Hope you guys enjoy this weekend of football. I will be doing a review on Saturday after the games have been played for Saturday, because I do want to see as much of the Premier League this weekend as possible. But I do want to have a review stream of our Burnley game on Saturday. So definitely stay tuned for that as well. I'll be breaking down my thoughts on how the game played out. And yeah, looking forward to having a conversation with you guys. Until next time, peace.